Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Dollar General, ticker symbol DG. And so, yeah, this was requested. I was hoping to do a video on it over the weekend, but I've just gotten caught up in things, got work tomorrow. So I can go over that here if it is requested, but I did just get some requests from Quoto in the chat just about 13 minutes ago. So, hey, what's up, Quoto, if you're here? If not, I'll just wait for you to let me know that you are here, and I'll go over those. And yeah, I'm going to try to keep this stream to right around an hour. I know I started a few minutes late, so I'll probably go about 5 minutes after the hour. And then, I've just got some stuff to get ready for tomorrow, and also kind of want to wake up early to assess how the market's doing in the pre-market. So welcome everybody. Hopefully you've all had a great weekend. I was hoping to be more productive, but there's a basketball game today that kind of cut into my productivity time. And but oh well. I'm pretty happy with the AMC video that I put out. I think we were all probably feeling a little discouraged, but that really clarified a lot of things for me. So hopefully it's useful for you guys. And so I think that Quoto, are you here? I will definitely go over. And Sweet Lovely, I see you there. Clove, I will add that to the list. And since you just have one request, I might go over Clove real quick, and then I'll jump into Quoto's list as long as he is here. And let's see, so I got Clove up there. Yeah, so I can do that. Let's see, close the window. I've got to escape it. GME, I will do that as well. Leader 42, I think it was you who commented about SoFi. I'm glad that you're here. I was hoping to do a video on that as well as Dollar General over the weekend, but it's just tough to find the time. I've been getting pretty, not necessarily burnt out, but just haven't had the time lately. And so let's see. GameStop, I will add, AMC, I will add, and SoFi, I will add. And so what I'll probably do is, since Quoto requested a 4 tickers, I'll probably actually start with one of his, and then I'll jump between his and the other people who have requested the individual ones. So first I'll do Quoto's request, then Sweet Lovely's, and then Duty Call requested a GameStop and AMC. Oh, but Leader 42 before that is SoFi. So I will first start with the first thing I need to do. Cheers to everybody. Happy weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you're ready for the week ahead. I'm really excited for the market, but I'm not excited to be at work tomorrow. But I feel like we're all probably in the same boat with that. But yeah, cheers to you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And that's the reason why I was a couple minutes late to the stream. I've just been behind on things lately. But anyways, I will start with ticker symbol ZETA, Zeta Global. This is requested by Quoto. And so here, let's take a look at this. Looks up massively. I might have to take a step back, look on the weekly time frame. Yeah, so there's not a lot to go off of here. And from my standpoint, the way that I trade, if something was up this much and I had bought, let's say around here, I'd probably just take the money and run, because that's up like 50%. That's pretty nice. I've been practicing, in and out trades more lately. I think largely because of unusual whales, and doing options. But one thing that I can do is, let's see, I like doing just regular Fibonacci retracements and then seeing what the extensions are to the upside. And so that should be, let's see, this is from that high there, 1346. Oops, I just adjusted that. So let's see, make sure the zero is, that's 409, 100, 1346, that's correct. And then I've got, I meant this to be the 1618 and this one the 2618. And then I guess maybe I will add the 3618. For some reason, I don't really know why, but for the numbers going beyond 100, it goes 1618, 2618, 3618, and then 4236. I'm not sure why. but those are the default Fibonacci levels. So, I mean, this is approaching the 2618, which is at 2862, having hit a high, I guess, last week of 2739. And, pretty big wick over the course of the week. This is looking at the weekly time frame. And looking at like the MACD on this time frame, we can see, nice green there corresponding with this hump, pull back, and then continuation. It might be around the time of it rolling over, though. The 3618 is going to be around $38. So maybe it could get there, but I feel like this is probably getting close to being exhausted, I would think, just because, from the low of 409 up to the high, this is over the course of like 2 years, but that's up 570%. So quite a lot there. But yeah, I mean, it's just like $1, I guess, really like $3.50 away, since this is a red candle last week. $3.50 away from 2862. So it seems like it's approaching a level where it might be pulling back. And so that's what I would think. And let's see, is there anything? Because maybe I could draw a trend line here. I don't know how convincing this would be. But like from the lows here, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that this trend line is really that significant, but I feel like it's probably getting pretty close to topping out. Let's see, from this drawdown, we can see, the 3618 is 2780, so that's just from this drawdown here. So 2780. So I think, a couple levels up there, I think that it could be topping. Or at least, I would think it's good to be cautious at this point. And if it were to pull back, where might it pull back to? Like if it pulls back, where might be a good entry level? And so this has all of the, let's see, I'm just going to try to get it lined up to that high. It's supposed to be magnetic. There we go. And I might color this yellow so we can see it a little bit better. So, I feel like it's kind of better to disregard the 236 and the 382 and then just consider the 50 golden pocket and the 786. And just because, if you buy on a pullback to the 236, it's probably going to the 382. And so you're not really buying the dip. You're like chasing a falling knife or, something stair-stepping down. And the 382, I mean, that's a discount, but why not wait for a better discount around the 50%? And so what stands out to me with these levels going below the 50%, that's at 2123, that doesn't really stand out to me as being that significant. But the golden pocket, specifically the 65% retracement, that is at 1938, which is pretty similar to the 1618 over here in white. It's at 1925. So that makes me think, maybe there's some significance to that. But there hasn't really been any price action around 1925, around $19. So I don't think there's any real levels that would act as support on the way down until we get to the 786. That's at 1770. And the reason why that one stands out to me is because we had this consolidation here with tops right around 1770. And so if price does pull back that far, that would be coming down from, closing price of, let's see, 30% about. So, I think that's a pretty nice drop. Does seem like there would be support there with this consolidation. Does correspond with the 786. And that would be coming back to, maybe like coming back to around $20 would be a good time to start establishing a position, or averaging down, maybe, whatever you want, however you want to phrase that. But I feel like it would probably be good to be patient, to wait for like 18 just because of this consolidation. I would think that would be support, whereas here, maybe you get a dip to this level, you're getting discounted price relative to the highs here, but there's not really any clear sign that there would be support until coming down to around 18 is my thought process. So hopefully that's helpful with Zeta. I'm going to try to not spend too much time on them just because I want to make sure I get to all the tickers. And Quoto does respond here. I see facing on the 4-hour. So I'm looking for a nice pullback to about 21. So yeah, I'll first switch back to the daily just because I'm a little more familiar with that. And then the, let's see. And looking at it on this time frame, yeah, I mean, coming down to the golden pocket there's a little bit here, but I don't think that support would really solidify or become really notable until around 18. But thinking about 21, thus I'm looking to do some puts and then pivot with calls after confirmation of the reversal to the upside. So 21, that's a 50% retracement, 21, 23. So that does seem like a level that it would be pulling back to before getting a bounce. And, there could be multiple bounces on the way down. And so that might be the first one. It might be the second one. But I do think 21 seems like a good level here. Also, there is some consolidation here. If I do flip over to the 4-hour time frame, like what you're looking at, let's see. 21. Yeah, I mean, there's this consolidation over here. So I could see that definitely acting as a level of support, but it might be like kind of temporary for a bounce. So let's see. I mean, just looking at this on the daily time frame, it didn't engulf all of the trading from Thursday, but it did engulf the entire candle from Thursday. So that, is a pretty big reversal. Doesn't look so good there. And really like the high to suggest that this would be continuing higher that we need to be closing above is 27.39. So I do think this does look like it will be pulling back. And, since you're interested in options with this one, I will pull up unusual whales. And let's see, I'm just going to pull up over here the flow data and see if there's anything that stands out with Zeta. No trades. So definitely has been, I'm sure, unusual whales options activity with Zeta, but just with the filters that I use, it's not popping up. So it could just be, it's it's like $5.5 billion market cap. So it's a pretty big company. And but I think that your thought process of this pulling back to 21 does make sense. And I've just started looking at the MACD, considering that over the past week. But here, it's been green here in this whole time frame that it's been going up with a little bit of red. But it just, it's been flat to red. And so it does seem like it could be rolling over at some point, but it just hasn't really picked up that momentum yet. So as far as time frame goes, I think that you're really good at selecting those Quoto as far as having a more distant expiration. But a pullback to 21 definitely seems feasible. Potentially a bounce there, but maybe it just goes up to the 382, which is around 22.68 or right around $23. So maybe that would be a short-lived bounce. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. And I didn't do this last week, so I'm going to make sure I do it now. I'm going to add this to the DGen Ed watch list. And then I will move on to the next ticker that was requested here in the chat, which was from Sweet Lovely, and that is Clover Health. So looking at this one, okay, yeah, so this has pulled back, and it looks like this is on the daily time frame. And I drew this retracement going from that low of 60.6 cents up to the high of 381.5. And so just like actually, what I might do, because, clearly we did find the top there. So we're not trying to predict or find the top anymore. The 2618 here from this retracement does align pretty well with that high. This was at 328.7, whereas the high was 381.5. So pretty good, definitely trading below that now at about 251. But yeah, so let's see, just like what I was talking about with Zeta, is that, with these retracements, I feel like it's kind of good to dismiss the 236 and the 382 especially on pullbacks, because, if you're like trying to buy the dip, it might consolidate around them and form like bear flags before breaking lower. And so like here we did, kind of get a fake out break below the 382, bounced a little bit, could be a double top, or sorry, a double bottom, so that, these 2 points could be suggesting that, oh, it bounced there, it's going higher. But things that stand out to me is, like this MACD, I think it's a really useful indicator. And, and I don't, it depends on the stock. I feel like with NVIDIA, it was when it switched from green to red. But I've noticed a lot of them, it's really when it goes from, a high, then rolling over, becoming less positive, and then becoming negative. That's really the time that it's good to, expect there to be a top. And so right now it's possible that it could be at a bottom, because this red here does look like it could be getting ready to roll over. But what seems a little more convincing to me is, I've got this blue line here at $2 a share. That corresponds with, let's see, this support over here, really just $2 being a psychological level, bouncing from there. And then also, we do have this gap here. And so that close was exactly at $2 a share, marked by that blue line. And so, I could see this coming down to $2. It also does correspond with these tops over here. So I would think that would be a good amount of support. But, it could always, just consolidate there and form what would be another bear flag or a bear flag, because I don't know that this is a bear flag just yet because it hasn't broken lower. But the things that stand out to me as this not looking so good is, so this short week that we had last week hit the low on the downside of $2.45.5, and the low on Friday was the exact same level. We closed a little bit higher. And so, like, it doesn't necessarily suggest to me that it's going lower, because then I would think that, there'd be a close lower than $2.45.5. But the things that stand out to me is like, this is a top right here, big wick to the upside, or, not a massive wick to the upside, but just that, price was trying to get back to the 236, couldn't get it. There are too many sellers. And, it does close higher, but then the next day completely reverses those gains. The low on Tuesday on the 4th was 267. The close on Thursday was 266, so just a penny below that level. So it may not seem that significant, but it does, in my view, suggest a lot of weakness because, following this upside move, if I referred to this as Tuesday, I meant Wednesday. The 4-day weeks confused me. So that was, for over 14.5% up on Wednesday, but then a lot of that pulled back on Thursday, coming down 7%, and then on Friday coming down 5.64%. So, all of these gains that we got in the first half of the short week, all of them all of that action, all of those gains retraced, lost. So it really doesn't suggest to me that it's that strong, although it hasn't really confirmed it will be going lower. But there's nothing that really suggests that it will be going higher, because it just got one higher close and then it just started pulling back. And so I think $2, that starts to be a pretty interesting level. That's breaking through the 50% retracement at $2.21. That is above the golden pocket, ranging from 173 up to 183. So these two levels right here. It also does correspond with a lot of consolidation here. So I feel like $2, see how it responds to that, might be a good level to either average down or pick up some shares. But 170 to 180, that range, that I think, could really be the start of a bottom, golden pocket. I had just gone over the Rocket Lab video, just put that out, and that stock has retraced to the golden pocket multiple times, or at least it has once, and I think that it will again, and that will be representing, a new bottom. or not a new bottom, but a bottom on the way, continuing higher. And so I do feel like the golden pocket is a really nice level to be picking up shares at. And if it does go lower, the 786, that's at like 130. And so I feel like that's kind of like a worst case scenario. And if it does come down to that level, that could correspond with this white uptrend that you can see over here. That would be that intersection. It's around the end of March next year, so quite some time between now and then. So maybe that is something to be considerate of, or not necessarily concerned with, but just aware of, that this level that was support over here. We did break below it, of course, but maybe it does pull back to that, and that could be right around 130. That's about a 50% drop, almost 50% drop from current price. So yeah, I mean, I'd look though for support around 2 coming down to like 170, and hopefully that's a bottom. If it's not a long term, at least a short term bottom for a bounce. So hopefully that is helpful. And Nameless, what's up? You're late. And so I don't have an Nvidia position, Nameless, but I do have SOXS. It's a smaller position than I'd like, but I've been trimming on the way up. And then I do have VIX or UVIX that I've been holding over the weekend. I added a lot on Friday because I was kind of expecting a gap down tomorrow. I don't know that's going to happen, so I'll probably just trim my position, slightly above break even. Hopefully, at least 10% profit to add more lower, or just lower the risk. And I will add Z's. Is it just ZS? Oops, ZS. Oh, ZS stocks, so Zscaler, I can add them, and I will add Fastly. And I'm just trying to like bounce around between the different tickers because some people did request multiple ones. I just want to make sure I distribute the coverage. And I'm going to try to keep this stream short to like an hour. So it's kind of a tall order for me because there's a lot of requests, but I'll try to get through them. And on the note of AMC and GameStop, I know that those were requested by Duty Calls. I'll go over them briefly, but I did just put out videos on them. The one on AMC for today, I think is really good. I think, it's not necessarily technical. It's more like psychological and, market psychology evaluation of the stock. I think it looks really good. So I didn't think I would be as bullish as I am about AMC because last week I was somewhat bearish, or fairly bearish about it. But yeah, so it is what it is. I think that it looks really good. I think that the meme stocks will be having rallies this month. And so, yeah, I'm just going to continue on, and I'm going to go back to one of Quoto's requests, which is Poet, P-O-E-T. And so that's here. And since I have gone over a couple charts just to kind of clean up my list here, I am going to delete Clove, and I am going to delete Zeta. And so I will come back to, sorry for the scare there, I will come back to Poet here, Poet Technologies. And looking at this, let's see, this one looks like, I feel like I'm surprised I haven't used it more in the past. I really like the MACD. This looks like, here, it's like the highs were in the stock price up here, where when the MACD was like at its peaks. And so when it starts to roll over, that's when it's like good to either short or, get puts or get out. And then when it crosses red here, it's still going down. And then here you get like a little bit of a bottom in the MACD. It bounces a little bit. Same over here. And then this bottom, it switches to green. It sets a pretty nice rally. Now it looks like, it was green. It just switched to red. And so I think that it could be going lower. This could be, it hasn't really switched that strongly. It is fairly close to zero, the difference between the signal and the MACD, these two lines here. And yeah, so for this, this big wick to the downside, that suggests that buyers are stepping in as it has dipped. So that does suggest some strength, although, this is like the lowest close that we've seen since August 14th when it was down here. So that is not looking so great, but it is good that there was a bounce. So, I mean, there's something there, but let's see if we do a Fibonacci retracement here from 227 up to 352. That looks like it's the golden pocket. Maybe it's going to find a bounce, go back to like 290 or maybe $3. I could see that, but I feel like it's probably going to continue lower. But maybe, I mean, like, I think the MACD is something good to keep an eye on. Maybe that's green tomorrow if this does go up. And then that could be suggesting that there will be another little bit of a rally. But I mean, I could see this coming down to around 250. It's corresponding to the 786. But if it does bounce, it could be around here because, I say that golden pocket, but really wicked below the golden pocket, but closed above the 618. So that's kind of like the higher level there. So I don't think that looks too bad, but it does look kind of like, move down, consolidation, move down, consolidation, move down, consolidation, move down. And so, I mean, if it does consolidate where it's at now, I think that's another bear flag or just bearish consolidation. But if it does bounce, if it closes above like 290, then maybe it's starting to reclaim some levels, and that could be looking pretty good. But I feel like this is, I would expect this to probably go lower. I mean, because, the argument that I have about this wick to the downside suggesting that the bottom could be in, buyers are sipping in there. Same thing happened over here and over here. And, it's just continued lower. So, and also like over here, when it's flat, volume's kind of low, and then it picks up as price comes down. So, yeah, I mean, there's volume behind that. And the SYTA had some insane volume Friday. I'll put them up here. I don't know that I'll get to that one before the stream ends, in all honesty, but I will add it up here. And hey, Ricardo, what's up? I will, let's see, LURN. I'll definitely add it up here, and I'll try to get to it. I might, LURN? LURN. I'm not seeing it here. Ricardo, your message just disappeared. I've got top chat up there. I've changed it to live chat. I don't know if Ricardo dropped out for a second, but I couldn't find learn. But let's see. Definitely happy to go over it. So Ricardo, if you're still here, just make sure you comment again, because for some reason, yeah. Let's see. LURN. Yeah, I tried looking up learn. I can't find it. LURN. Is it maybe a different spelling, or LERN? Yeah, I can't find LURN. Nothing's popping up. So yeah, if there's a different way I can look it up, like the company name or something, I could definitely do that. But I will get back to the requests here. And so the next one, I've done Clove. I've done 2 of Quota's requests. And so now I'm going to go over SoFi. I'll probably do a video on SoFi soon. I just, I only so much time, and I wanted to do a Rocket Lab video, although I don't think the Rocket Lab video is going to perform that well, because whenever I say I think something's coming down, it's finding a bottom. Those videos don't tend to do that well, even though I think it's like a really valuable video. But the views determine that, I guess. But yeah, anyways, looking at SoFi, closed a penny above 7, did go up to 830. I happened to, like the last time I looked at the chart, I happened to draw this Fibonacci retracement up to that high of 830. Things that kind of stand out to me about this, I mean, in all honesty, I think it's going lower. And, I feel like people are probably going to be tired of it. It's like MACD is my new Fibonacci. But looking at the MACD, I mean, here, this, I mean, actually, I think it responds, you can use it differently for different stocks because here when it flipped, from green to red, it didn't really go that much lower, and that was kind of a bottom for SoFi. And then when it switched to green, it took a little while, but then that was a good time to buy. Here, switch to red. And actually, no, when it did switch to red, it dropped. So, it's like here from the top. This was a good time to get out. As it rolls over from green, gets to be kind of neutral. Then it drops when it switches to red. And as it's red, that's kind of, a good time to be buying. Although this is like a couple days into it being red. Once it flipped red, it dropped 15, almost 16%. So, I mean, the MACD did just flip red on Friday. And yeah, so I mean, I could see this pulling back to like 650. Golden pocket would be 680 to 690, right around there. You can see these two levels here. And this gap, was filled. It happens to just so happens to correspond with the 50% retracements. I think that's kind of cool when levels line up exactly. But yeah, I mean, I could see this coming down to, with this having just switched to red, and when it switched to red here, it came down 15%. It's actually and that's actually a pretty similar level to where we're at now. So from here down to there, I mean, that would suggest, if it's just the same distance, so like just moving that rectangle over around 16%, that would correspond with coming back to like $6 a share. And yeah, nobody likes me when I talk about SoFi, I feel like. Because yeah, for me, there's this glaring gap here at 541, which may never get filled. In all honesty, Palantir has tons of gaps that are never going to get filled. You can look back at Tesla. I think they have a gap around, I don't know if it's $11 or $7, somewhere around there. Never going to get filled. So gaps don't always get filled. So 541 may never get filled. But with, looking at this level here, and that moved down once it switched to red, and that this did just switch to red, I think that this could be heading down to at least, I mean, I guess, yeah, at the most, at the highest number, 650, but I think it could be revisiting 6 and potentially going lower than 6, not necessarily going to 541, I don't want to be a broken record with that, but if it does, see, this is not a part of a channel. This is just a trend line that I drew based on the low from March 19th and then also the low from April 30th. Got those two pivot points. That did reveal that, there was some support here before it took off and went on a run from that line up about 27%, so pretty nice swing there before pulling back, bouncing again, and then getting probably like a 30% move from that line up to the high 40, almost 40%, about 38. But now with it retracing, and the MACD, really just like the MACD flipping red now, I think it's coming to at least 650. So I'm sorry if you don't like me because of that. But, thinking about this just with the cursor here, that level does correspond with this consolidation over here. So I could definitely see that some support being found there. If not at the support, the consolidation here, if not above that, which would be around, in all honesty, it's at 665 and I had it at 666. Say whatever you want. I feel like things like that are bad luck. Not necessarily because I'm superstitious, I am a little bit, but just for fun. But people are superstitious. And so it doesn't matter if there's any significance in 3 6s. It matters that people think that there's significance in that. And so people might say, oh, it's consolidating at 666. Maybe, that happens. And then people say, okay, that's bad luck though. It's going lower. And then they sell. So it's like, is that superstition real? It doesn't matter. If people think it is, that thought, that belief in it makes it real. So I I feel like this is gonna, if this does consolidate, it'd be consolidating around 666, and I think it's bad luck. I think it'd be coming down to 650 at least, and I think it could definitely be finding some support around there. So those are my thoughts on that. It's not really that, I don't know, scientific, but I mean, the charts are based on emotion, and uh, with this turning red, I think it's coming lower, and might be revisiting six. Yeah, I mean, if I make a video on that, people will just scold me and tell me that I'm wrong and all this stuff. But I mean, just this little bit of red right there where the cursor is, that's telling me it's coming lower. And like, from here, like I said, that was like a 16% drop, was it? Yeah. So let's see, just from current price to 550, that's like a reasonable level. That's 7% down from right now. So that's not nothing. So something to consider. Hopefully that's helpful. Just going to check on the comments, make sure not leave anybody behind. Oh, LUNR. Yes, leader 42. Good call. LUNR. Intuitive Machines. Yeah, so I'll throw that up there. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I have a tough time with stuff like that just because it's like the tickers are like so cryptic to begin with. And then, I started typing that with a U first, it can be a little fussy. But yeah, so it's okay. You want it lower. Okay, yeah, leader 42. Yeah, I think that's the best mindset to have. A lot like I've kind of taken a step back from making SoFi videos, and actually the last one that I did, I was calling out this is a bullish pattern, saying I thought it was going higher. It wasn't really received that well. Just as far as views go, maybe because I've fallen out of the like SoFi algorithm on YouTube. But, when I was making videos saying that I thought it was coming down to 6, people would just like not necessarily be like super insulting or vulgar or anything, or like, just using bad words. But it's just like they'd be like, you're completely wrong. You have no idea the valuation, all of this stuff. It's like, I'm not getting into fundamentals. I'm just looking at the chart. And, then I end up being right. And there's one guy who actually like apologized for what he said to me. So I thought that was really nice. But that was actually around this earnings call. Yeah, where this blue line, it gapped down. I think it was that earning. No, it was probably one over here. I'm not sure where. Let's see. Yeah, because I've deleted a lot of the drawings that I had up here. But I think there's like a head and shoulders pattern. I think it was around here. I thought there was an earnings call around here, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, head and shoulders. And yeah, this was it. That earnings call. Back in April, the end of April. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, if one wants to add more, I say wait, 650, see how it goes there. And, it might be going sub 6 this time. So keep an eye out for that, especially because like I feel like just the market in general is rolling over. Like generally right now, as far as the market goes, as far as like what's been leading the market, like semiconductor stocks and stuff, I'm not just bearish like I feel like I've been all year, but like I'm bearish and like things are actually starting to roll over. So good to be cautious. Like that NVIDIA video that I just put out yesterday, I think it's a super cool one. So, and Ricardo is following up on the SoFi. So do I. I wouldn't complain if SoFi went to 6 or much better at 5. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, I like the market, like I think a nice example of what the market does to us, I feel like is if you watch my video on AMC from last week, and then watch my video on AMC that I just put out today, I think it's a really nice example of like what the market does to us, how it plays with us. And, it's like basically when everybody's just like throwing their hands up, I'm done. It's, I can't take it going any lower, and it just looks like it's going lower. That's when the bottom is. And so that's kind of like what last week was like with AMC. Now I think things are looking really good. And, with that being said, applying that to SoFi, it's like, for me, I think it could be coming down to this blue line here, 541 or right around 550, but it's probably going to take a really long time to get there. And so there are going to be many swings between, current price and that price, whether to the upside or downside. So just like waiting, if I'm just stubbornly waiting for 550, this alert to go off, I'm missing out on making money. I missed out on making money to the upside here. I bought some at I think $6 because there was pre-market. It hit six, or maybe it was 603 because that was a measurement that I had or something at 603. Or no, that was a gap that was filled. And, I sold for a small profit. I could have held for longer, but I just, it's like eating me alive. Like, I feel like it's coming down to 550 and I don't want to be spread too thin. So I cut my position, took small profit, could have made more, but I rolled that into other positions and whatnot. So I'm fine with the decision. But it's always just like these things take longer than we expect. And so like this is probably going to break 6 is what I would think, test this downtrend and then bounce, maybe come up to 650, maybe come up to 7. And then from there, then it might come down to 550. So it's just like all of this time, waiting for 550 or, not taking advantage of the bounces. And I think like there could be a really nice bounce. Let's see, around 590 that would be coming down here, breaking below that prior low, but then bouncing. So that's what I would look for. 590 for a bounce, but ultimately 550 and it going below 541. I don't have an argument for that, but maybe. I mean, if we're starting a new bear market and stuff, which is, my thesis. But, I think that that's going to affect things differently, and I think that there are going to be plenty of bounces to take advantage of. And one thing that's super cool, I used to talk about these a lot in videos, but they didn't really have too much significance. I feel like in how things played out, maybe you guys would recognize this if I just draw a trend line from there to there. I'm going to make that a little bit thicker, lock it into place. So we see higher highs in the stock price. What do we see in the RSI? We see lower highs. And so that's bearish divergence. When it's on the tops and they differ, that's bearish divergence. And so then we've seen this pullback. So, this pullback thus far could be all that it is. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue lower, but then once if the RSI goes below this low at like 35.40 and stock price is above 601 and looking like it's forming a bottom, that would be bullish divergence. That could be suggesting a turnaround. So, I think that's really cool. This, not only is this like a higher high, this is also a double top, because we didn't get any closes above 806. So that's like a level, that's like confirmation, retail, just like the way that we get played is we see a rally here up to 806 and it's like 806, it's going to go to 850 or 830 or, 858. It's going to fill that gap. Probably that's, retail's thinking, oh, there's a gap up there at 858. Oh, it just crossed 8. It's going to go to 858. It's going to fill that gap before pulling back. And then we see a pullback, doesn't happen. And so retail's like, dang it, but it's got to go up and fill that gap. It's going to do it. And then we see, on the 29th, August 29th, we see a high of 830. That's higher than 806. Retail's like, it's going higher. It's going to keep going. But we didn't get a close above 806. And so retail's just like looking at this saying it's a higher high. It's going higher. It's going to fill that gap. But we didn't get the close above that prior high. There's no confirmation that it's going to continue higher. And so, that's it. The top is in. And then we get an open above. Retail's like, it's opening higher. And then it goes up a little bit. It's going to go higher. It's going to go higher than 830. But then it closes lower. And retail's like, it's okay. We still went higher. We still went high today. We're going to go higher the next day. Then it gaps down. And that's just like retail being played. There's a double top here, bearish divergence, and the MACD is starting to roll over. So a lot of topping signals here around this. But yeah, unfortunately, at levels like that, nobody wants to listen to somebody say there are bearish signals here. It's going to roll over. People want to hear it's going to go higher. And so that's one of the things I find frustrating about making videos is that when I feel like there's real value like this, that's preventing a drawdown, holding, 15.5% to the downside. And, I'm thinking that it could be coming back down to 6. It's almost 30%, coming down to 590, which is where I think it's going. So yeah, it's about 30%. So, yeah, so I hope that was helpful. It's a cool chart. I like this stuff. But yeah, I'm not in SoFi, and, maybe I consider it. Actually, from this, I might just create an alert below, wait, not 582. Sorry, I want to change that to 590 because I think that could be, the next bounce. Shaking retail out getting lower than 601. Thinking that it's going to go lower, but that actually being a bottom because there's technical support with this downtrend. But that would be like the, first, second, third, fourth, fifth test of it. At that point, it's probably going to break lower. So yeah, sorry, I'm rambling on about SoFi. I like the chart, but not necessarily for good reasons. And yeah, so I'll continue on with Quoto's request, BGC. And yeah, so SoFi, I'm going to leave that on the request list because I need to go over that. And I'm going to delete this one, Poet, because I've gone over it. So BGC group. Let's see. I think I might need to take a step back. Let's see. Okay. This is kind of cool. That looks like it's kind of a ugly head and shoulders pattern. Yeah, so with that, measured move from base of that head to the neckline, going up to the break. That could be suggesting price be coming up to around $11 a share. Just going to make this line thick and purple, so I know that that's a neckline. Maybe that's a garbage head and shoulders though, because it's a pretty lumpy one, But so are there levels there that stand out that would correspond with $11? Maybe that price is going there before topping out. Oops, I don't want to do a measurement. I want to do a Fibonacci retracement from the high here of 1341 down to the low of 198.4. Pretty cool. The 786 is at 1096.5. Pretty magic. I'm going to go with that. I think that this is going to continue to go higher, although I think it's pretty risky now considering, that it is going higher. It just seems like it's like waxing and waning here in the MACD. But I think that at this point, that measured move, measured moves don't always have to play out. It's just like an approximation of where this could go if this was an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is pretty ugly. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. But with this measurement lining up pretty perfectly with a 786, I think it's going to $11 a share. So super cool. I bet you didn't think I'd say that, but that's what stands out to me with it. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I could do another trend line or something that would support that claim. I don't know, maybe this suggests that it's going to inch its way up there. Or maybe that it is around resistance here with that trend line. But yeah, I think that, I'm going to move this over to here. I think that this doesn't make sense, does it? Oh, July 2025. I'm looking at the weekly. I was like, July, that's in the past. July 4th, right around there. I think that this could be, so this is long term. So I'm looking at the weekly. Looking at the daily, it does seem like it's at resistance, so it's kind of risky there. But yeah, I mean, it could be going up to, I stand with this going to 11, but it is at resistance, so it's pretty risky right now. But yeah, 11 up there. Looks really cool. Good, cool request. And so this is on, I'm going to put it on DGen Ed. And then, so hopefully that's helpful. I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing anything in the comments. Quoto mentioned that NVIDIA invested $100 million in APLD. So I'll look at that chart. It's been a while since I've gone over that stock. And let's see. Should I buy the dip on ChargePoint now or wait till it hits $1? Saul asked that. I'll put ChargePoint up here. I think that there's probably going to be a bounce around 132, just like off the top of my head. But I think it's probably going to $1. And I mean, I think, Luminar is a good example of, I've been following that one for years and not necessarily holding it, but I've been following it. And, it's just like, I thought it was going to come down to $1. I think I've mentioned that in videos. And, it did. It's now below $1. And so I think that's just kind of like the hazing, of newer companies that are risky. They get shorted and they get driven down to below $1 a share to have to do a reverse split. And so I think that definitely could be happening with ChargePoint. And so with that being said, I did go over BGC. I'm going to delete that and I will add ChargePoint up here so I know to look over it. And I'm just going to try to make some more progress down these requests. I got about 7 minutes left before I need to close this down. Let's see, I'll go a little bit later. And so Duty Calls did mention GameStop and AMC. I'll go over them very briefly. I did just put out videos on them. For me, with GameStop, I mean, Roaring Kitty is clearly very bullish on it. A lot of people are very bullish on it. The options activity has been suggesting it's going higher. In the video that I put out on AMC, like if you guys hold AMC, GameStop, or Chewy, whenever I do a video on one of those, I feel like they all kind of relate to each other. They all kind of inform on each other. And it might just be that, GameStop's the leader, AMC's the follower, Chewy's the follower, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If they're like, it's like saying, NVIDIA's the leader, don't buy SMCI. But, there's definitely a lot of profits to be made with SMCI, in the bull run. Now that things are rolling over, not so much, or have rolled over, not so much. But yeah, so I think that I feel like there was something I wanted to mention at GameStop video. Maybe I didn't mention it until I think later in the video, but just really like this high here, 24.69. We need to be seeing a close above that. We need to reclaim that level that we couldn't close the week above 24. Not so great, but I think that there are a number of things that are really good about it. And, a lot of that is like in the options chain that Roaring Kitty, other big accounts are going long it. And I think that corresponding with like September 20th, that being the OPEX options expiration for monthly and quarterly contracts, I think that this could be going a lot higher. And a lot of people talk about 26 being an important level right around here, just like needing to reclaim that to, establish that this is not fading lower. So I think 26 is an important level. I think that it could be getting up to around 28 to 30. I did mention that in the video, I believe, with this Fibonacci retracement. But, hopefully that's helpful. But I'd recommend going over those videos because I put a lot into them. And Roaring Kitty's back on the scene with GameStop. So I think that's a good sign. Oh, and also the MACD here, it's green, so I think that it's not heading in the red direction. So I think it's good as long as this continues to increase. We did get a big green candle with big green volume behind it. So I think that's good. And then with AMC, just put out a video on it today. But yeah, I think this just needs to be reclaiming 325, and I think it will be doing that this week, reclaiming this orange uptrend. And this does look like, while it's in the red as far as the MACD goes, it looks like it could be breaking above. And I think that what we saw over the past couple of weeks was really a fake out break below this uptrend just to psych people out. And, I do kind of go over that in the video on AMC, just thinking about this market psychology and cycles related to that. And then I think that, this will be going higher. Like I feel really good about AMC. Like the bottom is in for sure. I feel pretty good about that. And then let's see. Quoto has one more request, which is Polestar. I'll go over that quickly. I was just looking at the video that I wasn't looking at the video. I was looking at how many views it got, and it didn't even hit 100. And I was saying that it needs to break out. It's either pulling back to 69 or going above 90, and it went above 90. It's at the 1618 here at 140, and we've been putting in these big wicks to the upside, massive bearish engulfing candle on Wednesday. So, I think that this is looking kind of rough. The top might be in before a pullback to like 110 because, we do have that as the high over here, and there's a gap here. So I think that it could be pulling back to that, finding some support, as there was a fair amount of consolidation here, a number of candles overlapping just below that. So I could see that. And, since this retracement was not to the high, I'm just going to extend it up here to 146. I'm just going to make sure that is the high. 146, cool, got that marked. And I guess I should, I'll just put all those levels up there. That'd be pulling back to like the 382 or the 50%, right around $1. So, I think that this is probably just for, the consideration of like the health of the stock, it's gone up, over almost 140% in the past month. That's a lot. I think that, a pullback, oops, what did I delete? A pullback to, the 110, that's let's see, 25% drop. While the MACD is green right now, it did put in the high, like from the histogram number that you can see here. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but like when that is most positive, you see that as like a hump in the green here. When it's most negative, you see like a hump to the red side. And so the highest that we've seen was on the 3rd, which was Tuesday, and that's a 0.055. Then it went to 0.049, 0.049, 0.05. So, it does kind of have a top here, and it's just like consolidating. Maybe this is forming a bull flag before it breaks higher, but I think it is going to start getting weaker and fade. And so I could see a dip buy at like 110 being a good level, just for finding support over here. And just kind of like retracing to that level that, broke above, could be coming back to it. So that's what I'd look for with Polestar. Hey, Ben, what's up? And so I'm just trying to make my way through these tickers that were requested. And so I think I've gone through the first wave of them. And so Nameless asked about NVIDIA. I did just put out a video on NVIDIA. Somebody, asked a follow-up question, so I will pull it up here real quick. Somebody asked if 80 was a good dip buy level for it, but in the video that I put out, I drew this like head and shoulders pattern, said that I think it's coming down to $50 over the course of the next year. Somebody asked me, is $80 a good dip buy level? And I think that it could be finding support around like 90 to 90, like really 90 to $100 a share. It could be at a bottom right now, as that is the base of this uptrend or the base of this channel. But I think that it would go as high as like 121 before rolling over again. And so is $80 a good dip buy? I'm not sure. Current price could be a good dip buy for a swing up to 115. I think that if it goes up to 121, I think that's too risky, and then it might be rolling over more. But just like over here on the 5th, it broke below. And, I don't think that we're necessarily going to be gapping down tomorrow like I was kind of thinking we would, but that might be happening on like Wednesday. I think there's like some jobs data or something being released. And so maybe the market, or maybe it's related to rate cuts. I don't know exactly. But I think that this, The chart just looks to me like it's going lower, and I don't think it's coming down in a straight line like this. Maybe I should space this out more. Like I think that, let's see. Oh, well, I just kind of botched that measurement. Yeah, well, let's see. To right around 50 would be, I want to make this 365. 364, so less than a year. I think it could be coming down to, let's see, 50. I'm just trying to make it line up just right. I won't be greedy. I'll say 50, 16. But yeah, I mean, I think that this could be happening, coming down to here. So good to be cautious with it. Right now, I have a handful of SOXS shares, and I'm trimming them as this comes down. And if I think it's starting to bounce again and SOXS is pulling back, I'd probably add, even if that's raising my average. I mean, I think that this is just going to continue. Yeah, like I posted, let's see, I'm just going to delete this, and I'm going to add SOXS. Sorry for like the big tangent. But I posted this on the channel asking if you thought it looked bearish or bullish before this big green candle. This is 3x leveraged semiconductors. And to me, it just looked super bullish because it looked like this is a bull flag. Ends up that was right. And then, from here, this looks like a falling wedge, even though this line is just based on the Fibonacci retracement. Looks like a falling wedge, bounced here, broke out, and then retraced to the 786 up here, corresponding with this green level that is, I think that's where I sold my shares at. I had a good amount there I'd been accumulating over the year. Took profit then, at the high. Very proud of that trade. And then it pulled back. After going up to the 786 here, it pulled back to just below the 786. And right around there is this gap here. So, there is a gap to the downside. I should actually probably adjust this gap to be that one. And so that is the close. What was the closing price? 2207? No. 2207 it was, yeah. Cool, so I'm gonna lock that into place. There's a gap down there, so maybe this could be pulling back to that. But, when we pulled back here, we didn't go all the way to this gap, so there's no reason why we necessarily have to go to this one. And I think that the 786 up here seems like an attractive target. Why is that? Similar reason to, this argument that I just made is that there's a gap here. It may not seem like a gap, but the closing price on August 7th was at 36.88, so I got that lined up just right. I'm just going to color that blue so I know it's a gap. And, it's a gap because we closed up here and then we opened down here. So there's a gap right there. And so, I think that this could be going up to around 35.85. And so what I've been doing with my SOXS position, which is really, really small, I've just been trimming at these levels. The next level I trim at, I think, is like 32.60. The next one's 35.85. And, I don't necessarily expect it to go higher than 40. But I think it's rolling over, and this did just switch from, red here to green. And so I think that this could be, doing a nice little rally. So, yeah, I don't know how much of that you guys are interested in, but I'm interested in it. And so I'll try to continue down with the tickers. And so I think the next ones I might go over are Nameless. So hopefully Nameless, you're still here. And let's see. Yeah, so I just went over NVIDIA and stuff. Could I do ZS and Fastly? So since I went over Fastly last week, I'm going to follow up on that. I think that might have been the one I told you to remind me to look at because I thought it was really interesting. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Yeah, so this could be like, I don't know. This doesn't look so good because this close was at 565. The low over here on the 28th was 566. It did close below that, so that doesn't look so good. So if there is another close like lower, I think it looks like it's probably going to be testing 552, which is like not much lower than it currently is. But I think this could also be a fake out breakdown And so I'd look for like a reclaim of 578. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, I think there was one, maybe it was Upwork. I know that you requested Upwork, so I might pull that up as well. I don't know. Got this like arrow thing here. This, I mean, this is green here, so maybe that's good, but it looks pretty weak. I mean, this looks kind of like a bear flag pull down and then consolidate. Um, 956. What's that to? The high over here. Almost. Yeah, I don't know, but actually, I mean, like bigger picture, yeah, maybe that's a bear flag, but maybe not. And maybe that's just to like kind of fool people. And this looks like it's maybe. I mean, this is a bearish engulfing candle though on Friday, but yeah, I mean, I look for it to reclaim 956. Um, yeah, but I mean, this is looking rough. What are these trend lines? Yeah, I mean, I drew this. I don't know what the significance of this trend line is, but it did break out from that these 4 days. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that 956 is a pretty important level. But I mean, 950, that could be it. Let's look at the options table for calls. 950 is not one of them. So that's not really that significant. But maybe for the, oh yeah, it is monthly. Yeah, never mind. I was thinking maybe on September 20th, but that's the only next option that's up there. But yeah, so hopefully that's a little bit helpful. 956, sorry. I need to close the stream down pretty soon because I got to be up early to get ready for the market before work and stuff. But let's see. And so I went over Upwork and Fastly. I'll do ZS and 9. Maybe 9 was the one that I was interested to follow up on, or maybe it was Fastly. I don't know. I mean, this trend line, that could be a fake out break below it. I'm going to go with that with Fastly. I feel like, I mean, because this trend line, yeah, this is the one I think I was excited about. The trend line based on these two lows. I'd look for a close above really 575. And I think that will probably get it. And if not, I think that this is probably putting in a newer low or newer 52-week low at least. But yeah, I think that it could be a fake out break. And so let's see, Zscaler. Look at this kind of quick. From what I've experienced with big gaps down like this around earnings, which like I experienced with American Airlines, I bought the dip with a call option thinking that it would fill the gap, and I thought it was at a technical level. I do think it was at a technical level, but I think it was a long-term technical level, meaning that it could be down there for a while, and it did. My contract ended up, I think I held it to expiration, which I don't really do anymore with options. And yeah, so that was disappointing. This, I think that, here, like it just switched to red in the MACD and it looks pretty red. Here, when it just switched to red, that was like really at the, like pretty close to the top. And then it stayed red for quite some time. And so after like the first day of it being red, so it closed down here, it then continued down 17, almost 18% more. And so, I mean, with this, I think that maybe this is going to find support around there. With the peaks there, some consolidation here, really just being kind of an approximate level. But let's see. Where's the first day? So when this switched red, that was like, I don't know, this is going to be a little extreme, but this could be suggesting coming down to like 123. Is there anything there? No. I mean, I'd look for it to come down to around 140. The tops here, I think that could be acting as support. So that's what I would look for. I don't think that this is a real concern there. One thing though that I could do from this low, as is typical for most of my analysis, let's see, what's this low? 155.97 up to this high, 202.64, 1618. Well, it's basically done. I retraced that. I think it's going lower though. And so I would say 140 to 130. I think it's probably going down there. Yeah, and this like pivot low over here, 131.59. So maybe there's something with that. So yeah, I think that those are some levels to the downside. I'd expect it to fade, if not just like continue lower. So I'll be cautious with it. And this one I don't think I've gone over, so I'll add it to the DGen ed list. Hopefully that's helpful. Oh, CPI is on Wednesday. Yeah, good call. Yeah, I mean, I think that whatever that is, I think that there's probably going to be a violent reaction in the market, whether to the upside or the downside. I think it will react to it. Let's see. And also, like, if we are moving into a recession, I would feel like that number would be lower than expected. Like that seems like the likely outcome. But yeah, let's see what the other requests are. Let's see. I think Ricardo's probably so Quoto's had a number of requests, so I'll come back to his as well as 9 nameless. I'll come back to that because I do want to go over Ricardo's request. Lunar. Let's see, Intuitive Machines. So this one, I mean, this, like just thinking about the MACD here, I'm not that experienced in analyzing it, but this seems to me like, there's this big hump here, a little hump. It's, seems like it might be going, I don't know, like maybe it's bullish consolidation, but this just seems like here, like I think this is a nice example. This one, there's like a little hump here, or there's a bigger hump here, and then it pulls back a little bit, and there's kind of a smaller hump here, just a very little one. And maybe I'm imagining that, but no, I mean, it does look like, it did have a peak here, and then it kind of like faded with a little peak over here. It's kind of the same type of thing over here. And so with that being said, after that, I mean, this is like the histogram here is 0.016 basically. That's pretty close to 0. It's about to flip red. And so I could see this pulling back like it did over here. And that's 30% drawdown from like current price. That could be coming back down to this level, around $4. Where did I draw that line? Why do I have that line there? I had previously drawn that, I believe. I don't think I just drew it here now. But yeah, like around $4, I could see it coming to there, especially because, I mean, like this, you've got this big green candle here, but it's like got this big wick to the upside. And then, it fades back and then goes up higher. But then when it does, it opens pretty high, but then just pulls back. And that's a bearish engulfing candle relative to this one. This candle had the open at $4.99. This one had the close at $4.97. So that's a bearish engulfing candle relative to the candle here, not the trading for the day. And, couldn't, like the highest close since this one was this one here. It's not really that encouraging. So I feel like this looks like it's going to be breaking down. And also like the spikes in the volume that you see here. You see this big spike in volume here. So that looks good. But then it doesn't really like play out. Kind of pulls back to like attempt to fill this gap here, but doesn't really get there. On that note, there is a gap here. So maybe that's something that might get filled. But then, following that bounce, we get this big red candle That's the next high, like peak in volume traded, and that's on a red day, pulling back a bearish engulfing candle. So it doesn't look so good. So what's a level that I think it could be pulling back to? Golden pocket, pretty cool how it straddles that gap there. That's at 425 was the close. So yeah, I think that coming down 419 to 428, I think that it might find support there. But it could also be breaking down lower to like around $4, right around where the cursor is, or like 380. So I think right now it's probably getting ready to break down, but I might be completely wrong. Maybe tomorrow it rips, but it doesn't look so good. I think there's at least a 25%, or not at least. I think there could be a 25% drawdown from about $5 down to right around 4 like that. So that's what I think about Lunar. So hopefully that's helpful. I know it's probably not the best news, but I think, with a gap there, with the golden pocket there, $4 being a psychological level, and this level that I had happened to draw before, seeming significant in the past, maybe we pull back to it and find it as support around 380. But I think worst case scenario, pull back to 380. Best case scenario, pull back to like 430, but probably 420. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And let's see. And yeah, I'm just checking in on the other ones that are up here. So I might go over, let's see. So yes, I need to go over 9. This one, I mean, I think this looks, it's tough to say where the bottom might be with this. $1. I think that this is coming down to $1 at this point. I do have the 1618 here at 96.8 cents. Maybe that's significant, maybe not. But I think $1 seems likely. This was red here, did flip to green in the MACD, but it's effectively 0.003. And, with that flipping from red not being able to get green, I think it's going to roll over and be red again. I think it's going to continue lower. And like the RSI right now is 31.58. I think that could be getting, to 25 or so, if not lower. So yeah, I think this is probably coming down to $1. But yeah, I don't know that like if I draw any trend lines or anything, I think that this trend line, yeah, I mean, I think I was probably had mentioned like this intersection here. It's around September 23rd. That 1618 around 97 cents, corresponding with that downtrend. So maybe that's something there. But maybe, I mean, it could be faking out, then it would go higher. Because like the low over here on the 3rd, so on Tuesday, was 112. We closed at 112, so that doesn't look super great. Hit a lower low, closed at that low. So yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to $1 a share. Excuse me. And so SYTA, but I just gotta delete these as I go over them. Lunar, got that on my list already. Polestar, I've already gone over that. So yeah, I think SYTA, SoFi, I'm just gonna leave it up here because I need to make a video on it. And I'm 20 minutes over schedule. Really? Yeah, Ricardo, no problem. It's like I never like pointing out if things are going to go down, but I think it's better to know in advance to plan for it than to hope that things are just going higher. But for me, I find like finding bottoms or like where things might bottom at to be really exciting. And I never am good at finding tops because it always goes higher than I think. But yeah, I guess with that being said, things tend to go higher and lower than whatever extremes I'm thinking. I think that's the same with most people though. So, but yeah. Anyways, SYTA, I'll go over this and then I'll do Applied Digital and then I think ChargePoint as well. And I can go over Blink if Benjamin's still here. I can go over Blink as well. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I think there might be a bounce in the EV stocks, but I'll go over those in just a second. But SYTA, have not gone over this before. SITA Mobile. I always want to say mobile or mobile. Let's see. I think that, I mean, just like the analysis with, I think, was it 9 that I was just going over? Like, this is at 126. I think that this is going to be going to $1. They did just have a reverse split, a 1 for 18 at the beginning, like a month ago, August 2nd. And so, following that reverse split, the price, let's see, 1 for 18. Yeah, they're going to have to do another reverse split. The market cap is $1 million, $1.11 million. I mean, like, personally, I don't have that kind of money. I don't know what you guys are trading with, but $1 million, like, to me, that's a lot of money. But as far as like looking at numbers in the stock market and recognizing what is a lot of money as far as the market goes, this company, very small market cap, very tiny. And yeah, reverse split over here. December 4th, 1 for 7. December 4th, last December 4th. And there's another reverse split over here, 1 for 100. And so Quoto, I'm not very smart. I think 2 years, $100. Is that what you said? Or was it 2 years, $1,000? But going back to this reverse split, that was just a year ago. Price was at $442. So this one looks like, and I mean, even just like not even thinking about that, I think that's a really nice rule of thumb. But yeah, I mean, this was like $200,000 up here back in 2021, February 2021. But just, I mean, like looking at the chart, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just flat. It's bottomed, and it's just going to continue to do that. So I think this looks bad. Maybe there's something that could pop out of it, but I think it's just too risky. I mean, there's a gap up here. Maybe that's something. I'll put that line there just to kind of note it. That's at 704. But they're going to have to do another reverse split, and that's going to be not even on the chart anymore because it's going to be, price is going to be so much. That's going to be, 7 will be, I guess 7 will be on the chart, but it won't make sense. But anyways, yeah, I think that this one looks like it's a bad decision. All these red candles too. There was a bounce, 7% on Friday, but after hours it's down 8%. So yeah, I mean, it's at 116 and it had closed on Thursday at 117, so it's already retraced that. So I think this looks bad. I think it looks like it's going to zero or just dilution for a while. And then let's see. Okay, so Quoto mentioned APLD and then ChargePoint. Yeah, so okay. So APLD, nice gap up. Did get kind of a big pullback though on that. And so, yeah, Applied Digital earnings and NVIDIA investments. So that's like, I think a big, I think it's good for them that NVIDIA is invested in them. Although I think that NVIDIA is rolling over. So yeah, I wonder how that could affect this. Now this looks like, it was green for a little bit and then it started to roll over. And then just on that, it bounced based on this news. And see, I feel like it might be kind of like hanging out a little bit where it's at. Applied Digital, I think this was just kind of like mentioned. I don't know that anybody necessarily wanted me to go over this. But after, let's see what kind of move that was. That was on Thursday, 66% move, basically. That's really nice. Even if one was holding, like bought in this area over here, I guess 40% to the upside. Well, I guess to current price, that's 18%. That's more than 10%. I mean, I would be like my thesis is like in and out on things right now. I'm trying not to hold stuff too long unless it's like stuff I was buying a while ago. So I mean, I take that. It does look like it bumped into this uptrend here, which is pretty cool. And so I mean, I think that the top is in there. And so from that, this low of 301 up to that high of 571, it looks a little bit cluttered there, but I could see this pulling back to, I don't know, maybe 436, 50% retracement, coming down a little bit lower than that, maybe 420, somewhere around there, as that would correspond with, the tops over here could be support there. But I also think it could be coming down a little bit lower, maybe just wicking lower, down to like $4. It's the golden pocket there, and then the 786 is at 360 just about. And that does correspond, or is just above this $3.50 level that I've drawn here, which just goes back in time a ways. I don't know how significant that level is, so I'm just going to delete it. It's kind of ancient history. But yeah, I think that this is going to pull back. So, hopefully helpful there. Okay, so Benjamin, cool. Yeah, so I'll go over ChargePoint and Blink. I'm just going to switch over to my EV charging list. One of the things I find really crazy is EVgo has just like been destroying it. And so I feel like this is probably coming down. It's like I wonder if there's some interesting options activity with EVgo, because I would think that this is going to be pulling back, and that hasn't happened yet. So like ChargePoint, my thought process on this is pretty simple. Like I think this is coming down to $1 a share, just because I feel like when stocks get pretty close to $1, they tend to go to $1. Like, if I was a short seller, it'd be like a trophy for me to drag a stock down to $1. And so I think ChargePoint's pretty near that, but I do think it came down to this level, 132, which is the 1618 from this yellow retracement here. I also have this uptrend here. We really got, I'd say this is like one test here, another test here. Did get one close below it. I think it's going to reclaim it. And actually, this makes me think, so I am a ChargePoint holder. I think I did add to my position to get my position to be divisible by 100 shares. I think I had like 23, so nothing too crazy. But I feel like that it's gonna respect this level, and so I think that 133, the after hours price, 131 the close. I think it's a really appealing price to be buying the dip, knowing that if it does bounce, it might be getting rejected right around 163 or so, where this downtrend is, and then going even lower. But I think that this is a nice opportunity to, lower the average if in case maybe that is the bottom and it does break out. It doesn't go to $1 a share. So, yeah, I'm just noting that ChargePoint, I should probably add 100 shares to my position. I don't think I have an order placed. But, and I don't know that I will place an order, but I think that, might be a good idea. Although, like looking at the MACD, this did just roll over red. Maybe it does get a bounce. Maybe this is an overreaction. But yeah, like 131. Yeah, I mean, this is not an all-time low though. So maybe that's of concern. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, regardless of that, it's this uptrend, the red uptrend here, that line, that's what stands out to me. It's below that now. It hasn't confirmed a break below it, which would be closing below today's low, which was 131 at the close. So that really doesn't look that good. I think it's going down to $1. 132 though, I think it could be a great dip buying level for a bounce up to 160. I think it could be coming down to, I think this is 128. Was the low here, 121. I think that we're crossing 121 and heading down to $1 a share. So it's disappointing, but I mean, I personally am a shareholder in ChargePoint, and I'd rather brace for and be aware of the downside and plan for that. And yeah, I mean, but I think that there could be a bounce around 132, but I think it would be short-lived. I think that this downtrend is probably going to keep it lower. And then looking over at Blink, yeah, this broke below this downtrend. It's based on, these two touch points. So this one, it's kind of included. So I don't know how credible that is, but I could have easily connected it to a low or a close or something over here. It'd be about the same. Did break below it. And yeah, I think that, it's like, what's a level that I could draw? Downtrend. I don't know how significant it would be. Like from the high over here to right around here. That doesn't look so great. Maybe, and see, I'm just like fudging this to make it fit something that's not so bearish. Yeah, I like that doesn't matter, this line that I'm drawing. I'm just connecting points of no significance. Like the argument that I have with ChargePoint, I could see a bounce, but I think it might be getting rejected. I could see Blink bouncing up to like 186, but that being short-lived, getting rejected. I think that this trend line is probably pretty significant, and we're trading below it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think that this one's, maybe I could connect these points, but then it's like, a downtrending level of support that's pretty steep. Maybe it's right around support from that it'd get another bounce, but I don't think the bounce would be that significant. So that'd be like from current price, that'd be around a 20% bounce. So I'd say that's kind of significant. ChargePoint from current price, I could see this coming up to, I was saying like 160. I feel like right around this cross there. Yeah, it's about 23%, 20%, something around there. So I feel like ChargePoint could be bouncing around 20%, but I think that they'd be short-lived bounces. Blink, I feel like it's tougher to say. I think this is going to $1, whereas ChargePoint is closer to $1. So I feel like it's a little bit easier to say, but I think that both are probably going lower. And like Blink, this is all-time lows for Blink. Is that right? 125, I guess, was the all-time low. Is that right? I could be doing this much more efficiently, I assume. No. Yes. So, yeah, where did I draw that? 125. I'm not sure if that's the all-time low, but I think it could be coming down to 125, but I think it could be getting a 20% bounce before then. So, that sucks, but hopefully it's helpful. Same with ChargePoint. For me, yeah, I don't know. I was probably considering placing an order at either 128 or 121, but like 132, I think it's probably going to bounce, and then like it wouldn't be a month before it comes back down, and there's another bounce, another dip buying opportunity. So I don't know, maybe there's something there, but I've definitely gone over my 1 hour, so I am going to wrap this up. Hopefully I gone over all the tickers that were of interest, and hopefully my thoughts were helpful. But yeah, I've got to try to be up early to organize my trades for Monday while I'm at work all day, because I've kind of just like been getting up, going to work, and not having like a clear plan, like placing orders before I go to bed. And I feel like that doesn't really work as well. Like I should see what's going on in the pre-market. And on that note, GameStop was recommended or requested earlier. And so I'm just going to pull it up on Robinhood on my phone just to see what's going on with it. And GameStop is trading around $24, which is pretty similar to what it closed at. A little bit above it, though, so that's nice. But yeah, anyways, cheers to you all. I've got to go cook some food to have lunch tomorrow, and then go to bed, wake up early. But yeah, cheers to you guys. And if you have not already, I assume you guys are all subscribers, but make sure you like the video of the stream. These streams, for some reason, they never really perform that well as far as like ad revenue and stuff goes, but they're fun for me to do, especially when you guys show up and just go over the charts, chat about them. So, I find these to be really helpful, and I think it's really good for me too to not just be focusing on so few stocks that I'm specifically very interested in, but other ones like the SoFi chart, I think that's a really cool one, and some of the others that I've gone over. But yeah, with that being said, next Sunday, I work Sunday, but I don't have to work on Monday, so I'll probably be able to stream for 2 hours or so, or not be so rushed next week. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for joining, guys. I hope you have a great start to the week, and yeah, I hope you guys have a green week.